Testing, testing. Thank you. Good afternoon. Oh, good morning still. Good morning. We're so happy that you stayed to hear the UDC Chorale and Professor Butler, along with Professor Simpson-Curitan. They did a wonderful, beautiful job this morning, and so we're excited to hear what they have to share with us for the next few moments. So without further ado, I give you the UDC Chorale, Professor Johnny Butler III, Director.
Morning. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Leona. Thank you for having the UDC Chorale. This is the University Concert Choir for the University of the District of Columbia. These are voice majors, minors, piano minors. And we are here today to do a lecture concert on the sacred choral works, some of the sacred choral works by the Black composers on the faculty of the University of the District of Columbia. We're only highlighting 3 today. The whole faculty pretty much composes for different genres. In the past, we've had the late Pearl Williams Jones, the late Calvin Jones, Robert Felder. I'm not going to keep calling names, but everybody composed more or less. But we're highlighting today the late Philip McIntyre, who was the accompanist for the chorale between 1987 and 1991, or 1990, before he passed away. Kenneth Lewis was the first graduate of the Gospel Studies major, which is the first Gospel Studies bachelor degree anywhere. Started in 1984. He was the first graduate in 1992, and he was the Gospel Studies coordinator between 1993 and 1995. And finally, we'll end the program with Professor Evelyn Simpson-Curitan, who is the applied instructor of organ, and she's the accompanist. And she, as a matter of fact, Professor Corey, she took over from Pearl Williams Jones when she was sick back in the day. So these are the 3 composers that we will be featuring today. We will start with Philip McIntyre. He was born in 1951 in Portsmouth, Virginia. He passed away in Washington, D.C. in 1991. We're going to be featuring, the first selection is number 1 from his 3 hymn settings. It's his arrangement of My Jesus, I Love Thee, and it will be followed by his spiritual arrangement of The Downward Road is Crowded, a spiritual arrangement that he dedicated to the then chairman of the music department, Dr. William Howard Moore. And the final selection on his set will be That's How Good God Is. It's a sacred anthem that stands alone. Is probably his most powerful and his most popular. So we'll start with Mr. McIntyre. All right. So the next set is by the late Kenneth Lewis. He's a published composer. As a matter of fact, some of you can see his display items back there on the table. The first song is Taste and See. It's from a mass he wrote, Mass of the Saint Cyprian, for the church that he was the minister of music at, Holy Comforter St. Cyprian on East Capitol Street, Southeast. He was there for 20 years. I see George Stewart, he's there now. How you doing, sir? So he wrote this mass in dedication to that church, which was very progressive. Back in the 80s, the late 80s, there was something called the Black Catholic Movement. And Leon Roberts, Kenneth Lewis, Roderick Taylor, Derek Campbell, there were many African-American classical composers who worked in the Catholic Church, and they were part of this movement. So the first song is Taste and See, with soloist by Rachel Lyle. Second selection is his arrangement of Done Made My Vow, which was arranged in dedication for the 225th anniversary of the Black Catholic movement. And the last selection is Jesus, You Brought Me All the Way, which was also a part of the Mass, but they have really, it was so popular that they made it its own publication of GIA Publishing. So this is Kenneth Lewis's set.
Troubles and trials, they seem to block my way. Sometimes I find it so difficult to pray. Oh, but there's one thing that I can truly say, that you brought me, thank God, all the way. Went to the valley one day to pray. My soul got happy and I stayed there all day. Oh, but there's one thing that I can truly say, that you brought me, thank God, all the way.
Now I will yield the mic to our next composer, the renowned Evelyn Simpson Curington.
Hello? It's such a joy to be here this afternoon. And I am very excited to talk about the hymnal and to do a couple of pieces. I think, did I get it? Leona had asked me to talk about this project. I think I have about 50 arrangements in this hymnal. And what is so interesting, I've worked along with Robert Freisen, Nolan Williams, Stephen Key, and myself. But at the death of Robert Freisen, we'd all been laughing and talking and working together on this hymnal project. And when he died, it just threw us all for such a loop. We couldn't work on it for a while, for a few years, actually. And we finally got back to it. So GIA, they flew us all in and had us all around the table and said, get to work. So then that way, we got back to the project and finally finished it. I think I was about almost 7 years to actually put this hymn book together. But one of the things that's so interesting about this project is that a lot of songs that are in here were things that were from our tradition of African American repertoire and sacred music. And a lot of these pieces had been handed down through the oral tradition. And this was a landmark work because it was compiling a lot of things that had never been scored. And so I remember when the book came out that various composers and musicians were calling each other on the phone. Oh, they've got this one in there. And they would play over the phone the various pieces that were in the hymn book. And it was just fascinating to see the excitement that there was to actually see these oral tradition pieces in this book. So I wanted to bring your attention to, I know most of us know Amazing Grace. You know, the typical tune. How many of us know that melody? And that's the typical one that was done. I believe it was the gentleman who wrote it. He actually was bringing slaves across the seas, and he heard this melody, but the tune came to him. If I'm not mistaken, this also convicted him, and he came out of slave trading as a result. His name is listed in the book. This is on page 271. How many of you have a hymnal out there? Are there hymnals out there in your, because I saw them when I came in the building. Yeah, they were, you turned them back in? Okay, but anyway, that's on page 271. And this was John Newton, which was 1725 to 1807, who did the original text, okay? And again, it was a slave melody that was being sung, and he actually put those texts to it. But what I wanted to bring to your mind, and that is on right across from it on page 272, it was one of my mother's friends, but actually my mother also knew this because I knew I had heard this as a little girl. Various regions would sing many of these tunes or various sets of lyrics, and they would have their own tunes sometimes that they would sing, you know, to these songs. And it's fascinating that this particular one I recalled, and when my mother's friend sang it, she said, yeah, I sang it as well, because when I was a little girl, they would sit me up on the piano stool, and I would play for prayer meetings. And I think when I was about 5 or 6, 7 years old, playing some of these songs, because I started taking lessons early, but I also played by ear. So I just wanted you to experience one of these old melodies, because again, of them being the oral tradition, these are songs coming and melodies coming from the motherland, which is fascinating to me. And so these tunes are hundreds of years old. So you're looking at a document that is quite old when it comes to this particular melody. And as I said, this is on page 272. So what would happen is you'd have the lead voice that would sing or give the lyrics, and then everybody was familiar with the tune, and they would sing the lyrics that had been sung out by the leader or chanted out by the leader, usually someone who could read. And we all know, if you know the history, that it was a very dangerous thing to know how to read at that particular time. You didn't really want folks to know as African Americans at that time. Does everybody have a hymnal? Oh, okay. So in the choir, I'm just going to teach you the melody, but what would happen is you would get the words and then you would come in with this melody. So the melody goes like this. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, and then the leader would come in, that saved a wretch like me. So you would get your words like that, okay? Choir, y'all need to hear that again? Because I know y'all don't have any hymnals. Well, those who do have hymnals, and I hope there's a lot of us who can read out there, we're going to help teach the choir this, okay? So the melody starts on the second system, okay? So, and you have, well, no, actually it starts the last bar, the top bar, sorry, at the first system. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. And that's pretty much what that melody is. Try that one more time. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Okay, you got it? Okay, so what happens, I'm just going to give you a smidgen of this so that you see how this works. So you have, the leader will go, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. And you come in, amazing grace, how sweet the sound. And the next phrase, that saved a wretch like me. Did you come in? That saved a wretch like me. And then the leader just keeps adding verses to it. And so that's what you call lining out, what the leader voice would lead the congregants into these various melodies. So that's one of the other melodies, and I know there are a myriad of other interpretations. According to the region that people were in, they would have different melodies, and this was one that we were able to chart and put in this hymnal. Another one that James Cleveland, how many of us have heard of James Cleveland? Okay, so there are pieces in here that are by James Cleveland. So on page 446, sometimes in our churches, we will sing this as a, sometimes before prayer, or particularly during prayer, or sometimes somebody might use it at a time of altar call, when people are seeking salvation. Okay, I'd just like for us to try this. Choir, do y'all know this? And we'll just read along. Y'all know this? If you can read along, Lord, help me to hold out. Help me to hold out. Help me to hold out until Okay, now a lot of times, now that's a whole song that goes to that with a verse. But what happens many times in our churches, we sometimes will just use a refrain and sing that. Sometimes it can come out of a sermon or something like that. The minister, particularly I know in the Baptist tradition, that the minister will mention something in his sermon, and if he can sing, many times they will lead into a song. The instrumentalist a lot of times will start off, and then the pastor or whoever is speaking will carry that song forward. So we just have the refrain here, because sometimes we just do the refrain in some of our services. The other pieces that I have, For God So Loved the World, it says Larry Wolf, but sometimes in the gospel choir sometimes will do a different kind of version to kind of swing that rhythm a little bit more on the For God So Loved the World. You'll see pretty much what we do today is as written, but a lot of times we kind of swing the rhythm a little bit more and give it a little bit more syncopation and whatnot. Just As I Am is actually taken from the Gaul, I believe that is that the Holy City? Yes, that's always been a favorite of mine, and I was so glad that they decided to put this song in the hymnal. It's a very beautiful hymn that is in that particular work. And the Hosanna was a dear friend of mine who I had known from the Church of God, and he had written several pieces. A lot of his pieces, to me, are lost unless one of us is able to find recordings. And this is so true of so many of our gospel writers. that sometimes they have not had anyone to pen their music. But I was so excited when I heard this because his name was Patrick Roach, and later on they said Roche because they would be kids. I guess the kids would tease them a lot about Roach, and so then they began to call themselves the Roche family. But anyway, so the Hosanna, I think I was telling her, I said, well, I need something for Palm Sunday. He said, well, I have a song. And then he passed not long after I had seen him. It was after a number of years. I was at a workshop when I saw him. And in his memory, I said, well, I've got to do one of Patrick's songs. You know, there's got to be something of his that lives on, you know. So this Hosanna was from my dear friend, Patrick Roche. And it's a wonderful, catchy tune that's wonderful for Palm Sunday. And as you see, there are many, many songs that are in this book. There are liturgies and whatnot that go with various aspects of the liturgy through the year, written by African-American writers, ministers. And so there's a lot of wonderful documentation of things that we can use in our services. But I'm just excited because it retains a lot of the history that would have been lost had we not written these songs and written these arrangements in this compilation. And many other books for various denominations also have been borrowing from this particular documented series of music. And that's exciting. So that means other denominations will also get to enjoy this wonderful legacy of music. Thank you.
I hear a call for an encore. But before we do that, let me just say thank you again for joining us here today. If you'll take a seat for just a second. Can we again give thanks to Professor Butler and Professor Simpson Currington and the UDC Chorale. Thanks be to God. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to remind us that today's concert is a part of our Dorothy M. Horton Memorial Concert Series. Some of us here, you may raise your hand if you knew her, knew who Dorothy was. Dorothy was a famous contralto here in the DMV who, when she was hired to work at what was then Metropolitan Memorial United Methodist Church, arrived to be told she wasn't welcome because she was Black. Dorothy then came to sing in the choir here at Silver Spring United Methodist Church, where she led the work of integrating this community, and through her ministry of music and song, helped us embrace the power of diversity and inclusion to liberate everybody. Today's concert celebrates her ministry, her legacy, and our continued commitment to creating truly beloved community in every single thing we do. Thank you for helping us in that work today. Leona, did you want to say a word before? Let me just also acknowledge Leona Lowry Fitzhugh again, our Director of Music Ministries, whose leadership made today possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go in peace and go in power to love and serve the Lord.